Well, it was my choice because leaving school, some of my schoolmates, they were going to Canada, America, England. So, well, leaving school, nothing to do. So I asked my mother if she could say, I want to travel. Why is it you want to travel? Where to? I said, England. She said, but there's no family in England that you know. So I said, well, some of the girls, they're going to England, some is going to Canada, America. So I would prefer to go to England to see what it's all about. It wasn't easy. On my own. I'm from Antigua, so flew from Antigua to Barbados. We stayed in a hotel there, and then in the evening, aboard the ship, massive ship. I've never been a ship or anything like that. So that was a big experience, you know, on our way. Oh, it took us 14 days to get here. On our way, well, I meet with all sorts of people. Some from Antigua that I didn't know, and Jamaica, different other islands. Yeah. Well, the funny thing about it, because I was traveling on my own, there was a lady, it's like a grandma, coming to England with the grandchildren because their parents, they were already here. So I said to myself, oh, I don't know what it's like. I'm not going to stay in a cabin on my own. So I joined in. So I was like a child with grandma. And she looked at me. I didn't know what to say. And she said, who are you, little girl? Where are you going? I said, I'm going to England. Where's your parent? I said, at home. It was a marvelous experience. And the different languages and such the food wasn't that great, but you still have to eat something. So sort of have choices of different meals that I've never seen or heard of, because I think it was an Italian ship, Sorrento, something like that. I was 17. No, I had made sail ready. I stayed in London overnight with a friend that I knew, because they were at the train station. And where are you going, they asked. I said, I'm going to Ipswich. I went to Ipswich first. I lived there for a few years. I went to London because I had an uncle in London that I didn't know. I heard about him. He was living in Trinidad for some years. So I went to London, but London wasn't for me. I hated the underground and one thing or another. You know, you're rushing from underground, rush upstairs to catch the bus, you know, for work and etc. So I said, no, this life is too hard. So I went back to Ipswich, and I got married. I wasn't 21, because I was lonely. That's how to put it. And just plod along. I came to Leicester 64, September 64. And I've been in Leicester ever since. I had schoolmates in Leicester. And my husband, he came to Leicester first, and then we joined him afterwards. But at the end of the day, life wasn't easy, and my husband was a wild man, so I divorced him. Well, I got married in 72. I met this gentleman from Jamaica, and yeah, we got married. Well, life was better, but he passed on. Yes, I lived in Highfield Street, but it wasn't the accommodation was terrible. The wallpaper was falling off the wall, it was damp and one thing another. It was nice at all. And another friend came to visit me while I was there, and he said, this place is no good. I'll try and find you, you know, a better accommodation. And so from there, I lived in Evington Street. Not what I expected, because when you're living with your parents, everything is there for you. But when you decide to branch out, it's different. My brother, I had a brother, himself and his wife came to visit on and off when they could. But my mother, she said, no, I'm not traveling to England. It's too far. And it's cold. It was cold.
Was it cold?
Yes, to me it was. It was freezing because from the warm into the cold. Yeah. I settled into nursing. I did nursing. They retired me on health grounds because I've got spondylitis. Some days I'm okay, some days I'm not. I've got pain. It started from my back, and it affects my neck and shoulders. That's why if it's even warm, I usually have a scarf around my neck to keep my neck warm, because they used to wear support for my neck, because my neck used to click. Because in my time of nursing, when I started, we had no hoist to lift the patient or anything, so we had was to just manage somehow. Now they've got everything, and lots of us, we're suffering. Well, it's a team, because if you're on night duty, you have someone else with you. If you're on day duty, you'll have more staff on day duty than night duty. Well, we were told, to which is gimmick, the streets are paved with gold, and that's rubbish, isn't it? So when we got off the ship, onto the train, we were looking out, and then we saw all these buildings with the chimneys and such. So we just looked at each other. Didn't realize those were houses, with the chimneys. And then when you get to your destination, nothing was prepared for us, and to me it was appalling, because, okay, yes, there was work, but you want us to come to England, you would have thought something like housing or whatever, The worst thing is, you wanted a room, because I couldn't afford a flat or anything, and in the windows, rooms to let. Don't laugh. No children, no Irish, no blacks, no dogs. Terrible. Say, for instance, as a young girl, you sort of keep with who you know. And with myself, I always prefer to keep with the older people, because you learn from the older ones, And until now, I still keep with the older folks. I go into Caribbean Court is like my second home, because they're older than myself. And you learn from them as you go along. I don't think you'll ever, because, yes, it's my home because I'm here. So you just have to adjust yourself to whatever and try and get on with your life the best way possible. It's okay. Say, for instance, in nursing, we were called all sorts of names, And sometimes you wonder why. I'm putting myself out to help these people and save myself and others. Oh, don't touch me, you nigger, you're black, you're dirty, and all these sort of things. But what can you do? Well, I'm here. I wanted to travel. I'm not going back home to my parent. So I have to make the best out of life. Music it helps, because you're in your room. Well, I could only afford a little radio, and listening to the radio, well, some of the songs is different than the songs back home. But what can you do? The food, well, we couldn't get our Caribbean food, but now you can get it, everything. Funny thing about it, I can remember going to the shop to get some rice, but the rice, it wasn't the rice that we used to get back home. When you cook this rice, it's sort of soggy. It wasn't, I don't know what sort of rice it was, so just leave the rice alone and stick to potatoes. I started going to college, but because of the children, it's hard, because after I divorced that husband, I'm on my own with the children, so I have to look after them. When I could, but this was the nearest church, so I stayed here. You know, although I'm not living in this area, you know, I still come to church here. Well, it's welcoming. When I came to Leicester, it was, what was his name? I can't remember his name at the moment. And he was welcoming, and because I had problem with my husband, I came here to see him, and because I didn't know anything about the social and one thing another, and I can remember he gave me a letter to take to them, and I got help, you know, so why go elsewhere, just stay here, and some of the people, I know them, so.
So there's a good community. Did it feel like a family here?
Yes, because you know lots of them. But the funny thing about it, because of black people start coming to church here, you find the white people, they sort of, as if they're vanishing. But it's life. What has changed in Highfields? Okay, let's say first housing. Instead of having rooms, sort of later on in life, the rooms, you could have like a flat, or if you have a family, you need a house on your own, because when you have to share with others, it's not very pleasant, especially having children. It's not nice. St. Peter's Church is okay. It just needs sorting out. It needs painting, doing this. There's lots of things that needs doing to St. Peter's Church to uplift it. Yeah, things have changed. Say for instance, we didn't have this partition when I came to Leicester. Because it's a big church, and in the winter it's cold. So by having this partition, it helps to keep the heat in this side. And the funny thing about it with St. Peter's Church, because it's a well-known church that, say, black people visited or whatever, if a black person passed away, whether they belong to this church or not, they'll have the service here and everything. So St. Peter's Church is there for a purpose, a reason, whatever.